Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our weekly live show. Welcome. I am Fabiana Claure, pianist and business strategist for musicians. I'm the founder and CEO of the Musicians Profit Umbrella, a global business mentorship program that helps musicians build, grow, and scale their businesses so they can transition from being overworked, under earning, creative entrepreneurs into becoming really empowered on their time, create unlimited financial potential in the way they no longer trade their time for money, and build businesses in a way that aligns with their life and priorities and personal values. Today's topic is the power of using storytelling to grow your brand as a musician. Say hello in the chat, by the way. If you're watching me live, let me know where you are joining me from. I love having a two-way conversation with my audience during these events. So as always, I come here every Thursday to share some nuggets of the information and inspiration and guidance that you need to be able to continue propelling and building your businesses as musicians. So let me know where you're watching me from if you're watching me live. I just finished an amazing full day strategic quarterly retreat with my clients, and I'm fired up. I'm super excited because so many breakthroughs can happen when we are willing to come together and just put our heads together and explore how we can, grow, elevate our thinking, and change our perception of what's possible in our business and in our lives. So I'm all fired up, and I'm thrilled to be able to join you. Oh my goodness. Hello, Demetria. Hi, good to see you. And Kyle Lee from South Africa. Wow, fantastic. Welcome, both of you. Excited to have you here. And really, I'm excited to transfer a little bit of this momentum that I'm bringing in from my recent retreat with my clients into today's session, because although we're going to be talking a bit about the power of storytelling, growing your brand as a musician, I do want, Demetria, you're in Houston. Okay. As we are now shifting into kind of thinking how to really understand what storytelling can do and why it's important, before we talk about storytelling, it's important that you realize that people are going to come to you and to your services and your products because of your being, not because of the service itself or because of the product, but because of who you are. People want to connect with the person behind the service, the person behind the product. And if they don't know exactly what's the story for this person, it's harder for them to connect and to even find value in what you do. And I think oftentimes musicians are in this mode of not realizing that people come to them because of them, and they put too much pressure on having to be all polished up and having everything figured out, and being in this mode of like, I have to focus so much on my service and my delivery on my product, so to speak, instead of on my story. And why is this important? Is because when you understand the power that your story has on connecting with your ideal clients and allowing them to see themselves in you and emotionally feel compelled to trust you because you get them, then it will not ultimately matter whether you sell lessons, whether you sell programs, whether you sell courses, whether you have products. People are going to come to you because of the person behind the service. And so that's a fundamental, concept that I want to make sure it's very well established as we talk about building your story. Because here's the thing, once you get that, then all of your attention and your focus is going to be geared into the right avenues of building your business. You're not going to be bogged down with perfectionism. You're not going to be expecting things to be perfect. You're not going to get overwhelmed by competition. Like, let me know if you relate to this, the idea of, there's so many people doing what I'm doing. What could possibly set me apart? Let me know in the chat if you felt guilty of having those thoughts where you're feeling like, what do I really have to offer that is different from so many other music teachers or piano teachers or singers or whatever it is that you do? How could I differentiate myself perhaps when there's so many other people doing what I do? Well, guess what? Your story. The answer is your story. When you commit to understanding how to communicate your story and using it to elevate your brand and connecting with your ideal clients, that becomes your differentiator. That becomes the irreplaceable factor, the competitive edge that people look for and embrace and are magnetized towards before they even think about your services. It's the person behind the service. So no one can replace that. No one can copy that. That's not something that people can just replicate easily because they haven't had your experience. They haven't lived in your shoes, right? So this is important because when you embrace the power of building that story and unifying your skills in the right way to get people a very clear idea of who you are and what you do, then there will be no limits for the potential of growing your business, because now it's not about trying to be better or worse than other people or underprice them or undercut them or overprice them. It's about who is the person here trying to sell this program? Why is it important that I connect with this person? What motivates this person to even be doing this? And how could I go from here moving forward? Does everybody get that? So as you're watching this, let me know. Give me a thumbs up if this is resonating with you and you're starting to feel perhaps some relief, hopefully some relief around the pressure that you may have put on yourself in the past to create, something that is setting itself apart or remarkable. Now, let's talk about some core tenets of building your story. Number one, when you think about creating your story, you have to be able to focus on the why behind what you do. What is the underlying why that motivates you to do what you do? There has to be a part that happened in your story. Maybe it was something you experienced. Maybe it was something that you saw people experience that were close to you, that you were maybe helping or mentoring. But what is the why behind what you're building now, and how does that relate to your journey? When we talk about building your story to building your brand as a musician, I'm not necessarily referring to an autobiography. And I think people sometimes can get confused about those two things. They think, oh, I need to talk about my story. Well, I was born in this city and I grew up and I learned this and I started piano when I was this and this. No, like when I'm talking about building your story to grow your brand, I'm talking about understanding what people care about your story. What do your ideal clients actually need to know about your journey in order for them to see the context of your services? And it goes without saying that when you're building a brand as a musician, you should have an underlying offer that you're sending people to. Right? If you're just building a brand and you don't have something to sell them into, you're just creating content as a hobby, and that's a luxurious activity that's very wasteful, and it's going to only lead you to being frustrated that you're not focusing on the right things. If you're building content online, you're creating a YouTube channel, you're putting your music out there, whatever you're doing as an artist, you should have a way for people to actually buy something significantly important that is going to actually allow you to create your own lifestyle and your sustainability in your business. Right? So whatever that list, you have to have an offer, right? So it goes without saying that without an offer, building content online and putting stuff on YouTube is like purposeless. Like it's meaningless, because all you're going to be doing is creating a lot of value, adding a lot of content, but having no way to monetize that. And it's just pointless, right? So it's important that you understand, assuming, I'm just going to go with the assumption that you all have an offer to sell people into through your content. You're not just creating content for the sake of creating content. You have a way for people to work with you in some sort of way, ideally an online way where you can reach people all around the world and you're not trading your time for money, meaning you're not just having one-on-one lessons or depending on gigging and this and that, but you're actually building a knowledge-based service that is based on your experience, where people get results through your knowledge instead of your time. So again, I'm just putting a big parenthesis here, because these are things that when I talk about your story and building that, like I'm assuming that you already have that in place. And if not, you need to talk to me and my team so that we can help you understand what you would have to do to actually put that in place. So I realize now some of you may not necessarily have these things in place. And you may be wondering, what do you mean, Fabiana? Like, what do you mean I have to have an offer created in order to start making sense and building a brand? So I'm going to put the link here. If while you're watching me share all this, you're thinking, wow, I don't have a clarity around my offer, I'm not really sure about what I should be actually selling people into, then here's your link to connect with us, Fabiana Claure /connect, so that we can actually have a conversation and show you, okay, here are the steps that you need to take to actually have an actual monetizable offer, right? But let's come back to this. So the idea of your story, you need to remember that your story needs to be relevant to your ideal client. Your story is not necessarily an autobiography. In many ways, your story is more about your client's journey than it is about yours. And sometimes it can feel difficult to understand that. And I see many times musicians think about the idea of building their stories with this like extended, detailed autobiography that is not relevant. It may be very relevant for you, but it's not relevant for your ideal clients. So you have to be able to understand, okay, what do your clients need to know in order to understand the context of what you're building now? If you have had low points in your life, if you have had struggles, if you have had maybe some moments of defeat or failure or whatever you want to call it, hitting rock bottom, what did you learn from that? And how did that now inspire you to build what you're building or to be motivated to have the services and offers and products that you have? That's what your story needs to have in a nutshell. It should be the context for what you're offering. Your story should be the context for the programs and services that you are now monetizing and providing as a way to help people solve problems, right? Because ultimately that's what you're doing. As an entrepreneur, as a creative entrepreneur, what are you doing in the work? You are solving someone's problems. You're creating some sort of a shortcut for them to either master their musical instruments, master their performance anxiety, be able to win auditions, enter universities, whatever it is that you're helping people do, you're essentially solving a problem because they can't do it by themselves, right? So your story needs to be the background and the context for why you're creating this solution for them. Where did this idea come from? What did you perhaps experience? Many times our clients build their businesses out of something that they needed at some point from their own journey. So maybe that happened to you. Maybe there was something that was missing in your life and you needed to create it because it wasn't there. And after that, it became an option for you to build it for others. Whatever that looks like. Again, if these are all a little bit too big concepts or you're like overwhelmed with it, just connect with me and my team, FabianaClaure.com/connect. And we can help you really personalize this information for you and strategize on how could you be more strategic in not only designing the right offer for your music business, but also the right story. So again, make sure that you understand that your story is not an autobiography, number one. Number two, make sure that you create your story in a way where your clients can see themselves through your journey. They can resonate with problems that they're having right now, right? And number three, make sure that your story is about the program that you're creating now, and it is about the context that is leading to that program, the why behind what you're building, right? And it's going to give you that clarity around what you need to do to be able to magnetize people into your world and to do it in a way where you're actually bringing people in and helping set yourself apart from the competition because of who you are, not just because of what you do. So one final thought for our training today is people are going to come to you, and I want you to remember that and write it down if you need to. People will come to, just write it down. People will come to me because of who I am, not because of what I do. People will come to me because of who I am, not because of what I do. So if you focus on learning how to write and create and communicate your story and let people gather that essence of who you are going to be set up for creating a strong and magnetic and sustainable brand as a musician. So let me know in the comments what your takeaways are from today's session. I want to hear from you. And if you want to go deeper and understand how you could build your story, go to FabianaClaure.com/connect. And my team and I look forward to helping you figure out how this could apply to you specifically. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next week. Let's prosper together.